All right, welcome to the latest episode of Five on the Floor here on the Five Reasons YouTube channel, as well as the podcast feeds, which includes Red Circle, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. Also, check out fivereasonsports.com for all of our content without a paywall. And check out the great sponsors of the Five Reasons Sports Network. That includes Prize Picks. That is our fantasy sponsor. Use the code 5, F-I-V-E. We'll be promoting before every single game of the NBA playoffs. Of course, starting with the play-in here between Atlanta and Miami on Tuesday night. Use the code 5, F-I-V-E. You'll get that initial deposit matched up to $100. And again, you can play that right away. There are no rollovers. There it is. And again, you can play more than just the NBA. You can play MLB, NHL, Stanley Cup playoffs about to start, MMA, esports, horse racing, golf. I'm serious. It's all there, even tennis with a big tournament coming up. So go to Prize Picks. Use the code 5, F-I-V-E. Also, go to Better Edge. This is our gambling partner. And this is just like Prize Picks. It's legal in the state of Florida and in 43 other states. You're betting against others that use the same product. You're not betting against a book. That's what makes it different. And you can find the line that you want. We also run competitions there. Check it out at betteredge.com. Use the code 5RSN. That's the number 5RSN. And you'll get $20 to play right away. So go to Prize Picks, use the code 5, Better Edge, use the code 5RSN. And now, today's episode.
Down to Biscayne. Yikes. 5 on the floor. Ride for my dogs. Where here's the thing. You can check the score. Hustle hard, couple scars, wearing bubble frogs. Just like Butler said, you in trouble, y'all. Kept the floor playing. Got it all band. Y'all seen the block. Stop with one hand. And Pat we trust. It's about have the guts. We're here to bring the heat. Y'all can hang it up.
Welcome to Five on the Floor, a daily insider show on the Miami Heat and the NBA, featuring Ethan Skolnick, Greg Sylvander, and Alex Toledo, plus others from the Five Reasons Sports Network.
All right, welcome back to Five on the Floor. Here's today's floor plan. I got Alex Toledo. You can follow him at Tropical Blanket. I'm Ethan Skolnick. You can follow me at Ethan J. Skolnick and at Five Reasons Sports. And I don't know where he is right now. This is always part of the fun. We've got Norris Cole. You can follow him, of course, at PG30. What is the rest of the handle? I have it on my screen, but I don't know if I are. PG30 what underscore?
PG30 _ Cole.
All right,
that's
right.
Twitter and on Instagram, or you could just click Norris Cole. It's the one with the blue check mark.
Yeah, did I ever tell you what happened when you got drafted? I tweeted out that they had drafted Norris Cole on Twitter, and some guy, because everybody's very excited about you getting drafted, and some guy, he's like some Irish professor. He's a professor in Ireland who is getting like thousands of messages because I guess on Twitter that's who Norris Cole is, and
that's his at handle. Yeah, that's his at handle. He actually has his handle as at Norris Cole, but my at handle is at PG30 _ Cole because I couldn't have it because he already had it.
Yeah, I know.
But on Instagram though. On Instagram, it's Norris Cole.
I find you there, but yeah. He was like a charming guy, but he was just like, who is this Norris Cole that everybody's tweeting about? This was all the way back when you got drafted. Let's start here. Where are you right now?
I'm in Puerto Rico, San Germán, Puerto Rico. And I'm playing in the BSN league.
And what did you do this week? Because all I know is I check out Instagram and there are 6,000 videos of you hitting big shots.
Well, I had a pretty big week. Our team is 6-1 right now in the league. Tied for first place. Last game, I hit a big shot to give us the lead, and then hit another big shot to ice the game to finish it in a big rivalry game. It was trending all over the island because it was the national TV game on the island. So, yeah, that's why you kept seeing that.
So still hitting big shots. Heat culture in Puerto Rico. So you were not able to be there for that reason, obviously. You were at the arena recently, and you were visiting with Udonis in the locker room a few weeks ago. You weren't able to be there yesterday. Did you get a chance to see the highlights of it or anything? Because he had an out-of-body experience.
I haven't seen him all yet. I seen he got the rocking chair, though. I did see that. I did see Bam got him the rocking chair, but I got to go back and watch all of them. But he's well deserving of all of the adoration that people have for him. It's hard for UD to celebrate himself. He takes care of everybody else. He always has been that way. So I think he deserves to be honored.
24 points And then the alley-oop, Norris, like, I don't know if you got a chance to see the highlight of that. Did we just lose him? I think we might have just lost it. Oh, there he is.
There we go.
There we go. You're back. So 24 points, including an alley-oop. I think that's what surprised me the most. Not the corner threes. I mean, he always talked about his range.
One-on-one face-up work, like just giving young guys buckets.
But hey, yo, UD got game though. You gotta understand. Even though he don't be playing that much, UD practices every day as if he's going to play. In the offseason, he works out every day as if he's going to play. So he can do that though. I mean, he's not gonna give you 24 and 10 every night. But if he plays double-digit minutes, he's gonna get close to 10 rebounds every night.
Well, he only got 3 yesterday. Bam was giving him a hard time about that. Because he all of a sudden UD thought he was a volume scorer yesterday. I will say, I knew he could still make the jumper. I did not know that he could get up on the break like that anymore. At age, was it 42 at this point? I just wanted to ask you, because I asked a lot of the guys about this. Like, you come into the program, obviously, during the Big Three era. UD had already won a championship. He'd already been there by then, like 8 years or so. Do you remember your first interactions with him? Like, did he have like a conversation with you early on about what this was going to be like?
My early interaction was when I first met him. He just told me if I need anything, let him know. Because he's from the city. He's played in the organization, and he's also from the city. So he told me, young fella, if you need anything, just let me know. He's seen that I was a hard worker. He's seen that I spoke the language, already. And so he just let me know. He just told me, if I need anything, let him know. And obviously he was a good example. He worked hard. He earned everything that he had. And so, UD's the easy guy to follow as a young player.
You were in kind of a strange situation there, because you were joining a team that was, that was a veteran team. Like, you were the young guy coming into a veteran team. We talk about him being the keeper of the culture. Dwayne was there already. Obviously, Bron and Bosch, but then, you bring in, Miller comes in too. And this was, it was later on that Ray and the others came in. But it has always felt to me like with UD, the thing that's always impressed me is that he treats every guy on the roster the same. You know what I mean? Like he would treat like future Hall of Famer Ray Allen or LeBron or Dwayne in some ways the same as he treats Jamal Cain now. You know what I mean? Like, he doesn't like, there are no levels with him. It's just like you're all here and all part of it. I mean, you must have witnessed a lot of that when you were with him.
Well, that just speaks to how he is as a human being. Not everyone is like that. He's a principle-oriented guy. And as long as you don't violate the principle, you have his respect, regardless of if you're a billionaire or, maybe, the average day-to-day guy. As long as you, show respect, as long as you're an honest person, as long as you work hard, he's going to treat you with that respect regardless of who you are. And not everyone is like that in this world. So that just lets you know who he is as a person, regardless of the basketball part. And I think that's why everyone respects UD, because the same way he'll treat you with respect, if he has to, if he has to check you, it don't matter who you are. He's going to talk to you the same no matter who you are, whether it's good or bad. And you have to respect a guy like that.
Did he ever check you? You don't seem like the type that would have to be checked in that regard. Like you sort of gave him a great attitude.
I'm not the type like that, because like I said, I speak his language. Mm-hmm. I'm on the same thing he on. I want to win. I'm going to compete. I don't need you to give me nothing because I'm going to earn it. And so, we had that mutual respect. And plus, I watch and learn. I wasn't a young guy that was trying to talk. I came in, I wanted to fit into the culture. I was trying to learn and earn their trust. And so, I wasn't one of those young guys that was, what I would say wild or trying to do anything outlandish. I was trying to fit in with the culture. And so, we never really had the clash.
I'm going to let Alex jump in here on the basketball stuff. I just got one more, though. Tyler Hansborough, do you remember where you were for that, or how you viewed that?
I was in the game. Yeah, I was there. That situation, we didn't want it to happen the way it happened. Let's just say that. But it's just like perfect timing. He did a dirty play on D Wade, and the very next play, UD happened to be the low man when he was going to the basket. And UD just he had to do it. I mean, he felt it in his heart. He had to get it back right then and there, and he did. And we went on ahead and won the series after that. But that just speaks for you. That's UD for you. That's UD for you. If you violate, he gonna demonstrate right there on the spot. Right on the spot.
Norris, so I have a question for you. Is that your favorite UD moment, or is there another one that stands out to you? Because I was going to ask you what is there one that comes up, and that one feels like a pretty good one, like that they're over there openly talking about it on the broadcast during the game. You know how openly loving that hand throw moment where it's just about, you know what I mean, him doing what he did. Is it that moment? Is there another one that stands out to you when it comes to UD and your experience with him? Obviously, you guys won titles together. So other than that reaching that peak. Is there something that stands out to you from him?
That's one that definitely stands out the most because that's a playoff moment, and it kind of defined UD at that point in his career, as a enforcer on our team. But there are other moments like in practice in the locker room that that's off air, off topic situation where we had good times, and so, but that's not to talk about. But on the court, that was probably a highlight moment for sure. That right off the top of my head. That I think about. And when he got elbowed and got split open, but he didn't even wipe his own blood off. Most guys get hit in the face, they wipe it off the jersey and all that. You just let it drip like he was a Viking or something.
Dwayne made it a whole marketing campaign whenever he got hit, right? I remember I remember it at MSG and all that stuff, and when Danilo Gallinari made him bleed his own blood, they handled that stuff a little different. UD was talking about the fact with Dwayne, whenever you cut him up or you went at him, you paid for it with the way he played against you. Like him getting angry was not good for the opponent. With UD, he just kind of played through it. That's all. And that's actually what you mentioned about the cut over his eye. That's the photo that they have in the locker room now. So that's they put there so everybody can see it. No, it was really cool. I said yesterday, like, it couldn't have been more perfect. Like that you end up in a situation where Dwayne's there. Obviously, Dwayne had a great last game also, had the triple-double and all that. And then, obviously, his last game of all, the one in Brooklyn, where he passes to UD for the last basket, for the last assist to get the triple-double. But to have UD do that yesterday in a win, too, which I know that the game didn't mean anything in the grand scheme of things. In fact, they lost draft position because of it. But I think I felt like it sent the team off in a positive way to the postseason. And we're going to get into the Hawks Heat play-in game here right after the break. But this has been a struggle this season. Like, it hasn't been fun. 44 wins, but it has felt like less, I think, just because they've lost to so many bad teams. They probably should have been a playoff team instead of a play-in team. They should have jumped the Nets. They probably should have jumped the Knicks. But to at least go into the postseason with some feel-good, like I felt like, I don't know, it's like the air was lighter yesterday in the building, and I think that will help them a little bit as they go forward. Norris, before we get to the Hawks Heat play-in game, which is what we want to talk to you about here next, tell me a little bit about Energy Cubes and the energy drink that you're promoting.
Yeah, so, one to end off with UD, I want to say congratulations one more time to UD, my brother. You're much deserving of all the honor, adoration that you get, and good luck going into this playoff and the play-in. And as far as energy cubes, E3energycubes.com. It's the best energy cube on the market. Great fiber, great protein, soy-free, dairy-free, non-GMO, best tasting on the market. And now introducing a new energy drink. It's called Results Energy Drinks. And you can look on Instagram under Results Energy Drinks, and you can see our introduction to it. It's a brand new energy drink. It's 0 calories, 0 sugars, 120 milligrams of clean caffeine with essential B vitamins and electrolytes. We have 4 flavors: blueberry, strawberry, watermelon, Island Blast, and the original Blast. And it's the best tasting energy drink on the market, and we're going to take over. Results Energy Drink on Instagram if you want to follow and make an order.
All right, so check that out. Results Energy Drink on Instagram. We'll also promote the Energy Cubes on Twitter, so make sure that you check it out. All right, so now we're going to pivot to the play-in game. The Heat play the Hawks 7:30 on Tuesday night. I was actually at Heat practice Today, I asked Jimmy Butler about the idea of being even more of an underdog than they were last year when they went in as the number 1 seed. So they shouldn't have been an underdog, but to a lot of people's eyes, they were. And he basically said, "We don't give a damn. I don't give a damn." And that's Jimmy. You know the kind of answer you're going to get when you ask a question like that, which is why I asked it. But again, this team has been up and down all year. 7 seed, 44 wins. Their shooting slipped this year, although a lot better over the past 3 to 4 weeks. They have a new starting lineup now with Max Strus as a starter. Jimmy's ostensibly playing the 4 with Bam and with Tyler, and now with Gabe Vincent at point. And they're bringing Lowry, Love, and Caleb Martin off the bench. And talking to Spo today, when he talked about the benefits of having 2 vets in Lowry and Love coming off the bench and everything that Caleb can do, it sounds like he's sticking with that rotation. That's going to be the primary rotation going in the playoffs. I want to start here with you, and then I know that Alex wants to get to some X's and O's with you also. But the big storyline here is Trae Young in his last 9 games against Miami is shooting 32% and just 18% from 3. If you're having that kind of success against a volume scorer like that, who has the ball in his hands so often, do you change much going into the opener, or not an opener, but it's a 1-game situation here? Do you change much, or you just kind of go with what was working before?
I'm old school. If it's not broke, don't fix it. And so I think they should, do what they've been doing. Obviously, it's a different dynamic with DeJounte Murray there, but if it's not broke, don't fix it. I believe they should make Atlanta make the adjustment first. Because Spo always has adjustments up his sleeve. But I think they should continue doing what's been working, and I believe that they'll have a good chance of beating Atlanta.
Norris, so you mentioned the DeJounte dynamic. We talked to you about this Hawks series last year when it happened, and obviously that throws kind of a wrench into it when you're just comparing the 2 series. It's tough to, I think, throw the same attention at Trae on a consistent basis when you have DeJounte out there. And we talked about this on another podcast, but the Hawks, I mean, their shot profile, like, teams kind of think of it as, Trae Young, they're chucking up a bunch of threes, but they take the lowest amount of threes in the league when you adjust for pace. And what they really do is kill teams in the mid-range at a really high volume and really high efficiency. And obviously, most of that comes from Trae and DeJounte. Obviously, it's not the only thing they do, but do you think the way that the Heat defend, where they're sending kind of the extra attention and extra help, do you think that will kind of will that favor the Hawks, or will that favor the Heat when it comes to the Hawks playing their game in the mid-range?
I don't know if it'll favor anything. I think it makes it more 50-50 because the fact that they are going to be shooting 2s, the Heat can keep up with that pace. It's hard to keep up with a team that's high volume 3s and can make them at a good percentage, which is what Atlanta was before DeJounte.
Yeah.
They shot a lot of 3s. And when you can shut that off, you can beat them. But now with DeJounte, he can attack and make plays for others in the mid-range. Obviously, he can score in the mid-range. When Trae is overplayed, he can head fake and get to the mid-range. But I think that works well for the Heat because giving up 2s, Jimmy Butler's a great 2-point scorer. Bam is a 2-point scorer. Obviously, Kevin Love is a 3-point shooter. But like the way the Heat play, they like to move the ball side to side, and they don't play at the fastest pace. So giving up 2-pointers, I think that's going to make it sort of an even game. And whoever can impose their will the best, that's who's going to win that game.
Yeah, I think that he would rather like the Hawks take those type of shots, and you just kind of contest them the best you can. We're like, as long as they're not easy shots at the rim that are just point blank layups, I think they'll be okay with Murray and Trae. I think taking contested looks there. We know the Heat are willing to give up a bunch of threes, and like you said, they're not quite as good, especially I think without Herter, who was so reliable for them in the starting lineup as a shooter there. And I think you kind of need a guy like that if you're the Hawks, with the added benefit of having Murray. Like, you want the spacing. So I think that it does kind of favor the Heat because I don't think the Hawks are able to press on the Heat's kind of weak spots with how many threes they're allowing there. So I think it's a good matchup for the Heat, especially with just the amount of perimeter defenders you got. But I do think it's one where, like, even though Murray and Trae have struggled against the Heat this season, not just, going back to last playoffs, both of them have had 2 very good games versus the Heat and 2 bad ones. So even though the narrative kind of favors like, oh, they're shutting them down, and the percentages overall versus the Heat are not great, they still had 2 pretty good games, and it's a 1-game sample. So how do you feel about I think that part of it? The 1-game sample and the way that those guys can kill you in 1 game.
Well, they definitely can, but the Heat have a guy that can neutralize that. That where if all of them play their best game, I don't believe anybody is better than Jimmy Butler on the court. And when you have that confidence and you believe in that, that's always the great equalizer. When you have 2 teams that possibly look like they're evenly matched, you can look at their bench and then you can look at the best player. And I think in this series, Jimmy Butler is the best player. And so if it comes down to a close series, I believe Jimmy can. I know no one over there can stop Jimmy. Jimmy can guard a lot of people. No one over there can guard Jimmy. And I believe that could be the difference. And then obviously, Bam is Bam, but playoff Jimmy is different.
I want to ask you about something specific to Jimmy and specific to the organization, because I asked Jimmy about this today, and he gave an interesting answer regarding it, which was, if you look at Jimmy's efficiency over the course of his career, he's never been like this. Okay, I mean, since the All-Star break, he's shooting 62% from the field. He's a perimeter player. I mean, he's playing 4, I guess, for them now, and he's down in the block a lot. But I mean, he started as a 2 guard. I mean, when he came in the same draft as you. He started as a 2 guard, and he was coming off the bench early on with Chicago. And he said that he contributed to his trainer and to others who've helped him with this, and Coach O and others in the Heat organization. But he also said that when he came into the league, he was a defender, and his job was just to get it to the best offensive players on the team. And so He knew he had to value shots because he wasn't going to have that many shots. He was getting the ball to Deng or to Rose or to others he played with at that point. But now, if you look at it, it seems to be more than that, because LeBron had his best efficiency seasons with Miami. Jimmy is now having his best efficiency seasons with Miami. There are only 12 players in the league who are averaging 20 points and shooting better than 50% from the floor, and the Heat have 2 of them this year. And I remember even when KD met with the Heat in 16, when the Heat were recruiting him, Spo put together a plan. Like, this is how I'm going to get your efficiency up the way we did for LeBron. How do the Heat focus on efficiency? Like, because it does seem like players have their best seasons in terms of valuing shots, shooting their best numbers, effective field goal percentage, etc. when they're with Miami. How does Spo do that?
I think it's part of the culture. We don't believe in just taking shots just to take shots. And our spacing, this is something that the Heat work on every day, 5-on-0. Spacing, run into the corners, 5-man trailing, the first big, get down to the block and then get to the short corner, making sure the lanes are there. This is something from the training camp till even now they're still working on, I'm sure of it. And so when the spacing is proper, when you value shots and when you value every possession, when you're a talented scorer, you should be, more efficient. And then, when everyone on the team understands their role, mentally you're able to be free in your mind. Your mind is not clouded. It makes it that much easier for you. And I think Spo does a really, really good job of that, making sure the spacing is proper, making sure everyone in the culture understands what their job is, so your mind can be free to go out there and play and do what you do.
Alex?
So now kind of getting to the offensive side versus the Hawks, everybody knows they're kind of a soft defense. The numbers, bear that out. Of course, they're going to be trying their ass off. They've actually been in this play situation before. The Hawks, the Heat haven't, so they have experience with this. They beat the Cavs last year, and that's how they ended up playing the Heat. So, you kind of give them that, I think, as a little bit of a factor. But they're a really good offensive team, and they've been even better since they hired Quinn Snyder. They've just been so up and down all season, where they'll win a game, lose a game, win a game, lose a game. So I think a lot of Heat fans wanted them as opposed to a Raptors team that had a lot of size and length. And so you think everything's going to be easy on offense. I just looked up the stats of Jimmy and Bam both having great years versus the Hawks this year. So I think people are starting to, underestimate what the Hawks can do. I don't necessarily think the Heat are going to lose or anything like that. But I think, when you look at it, the Heat have struggled offensively for most of the season, have been making more shots for the past month or so. But, you try to look at the ways that you can come up with easy offense, right? And you're probably going to screen. You're going to have a guard screen for Jimmy like they've done so many times in the past. They're going to try to get Trae switched on to Jimmy and generate offense from there, make him help. And like Brady Hawk, our colleague here, who's not on the show today, has mentioned before, I think they're going to get more stuff to Bam where they're doing cross screens for him off ball, trying to get him with good post position so he could face up, because they send a lot of help to the paint. And it's kind of been a theme, I think, for the Heat this season, where teams are not letting Bam roll and get easy buckets. And I think that's where a lot of the mid-range fadeaway type of stuff that he got into this season came from. And they've gone to him more with kind of those off-ball sets to get him in good position. Are you a fan of those? Do you think they should kind of stick to Bam as a roller? And do you think just kind of with those two things, getting Jimmy and Bam in position, and obviously like a Tyler Bam pick and roll, is that enough offense, I think, to beat the Hawks, or do you got to be more creative?
No, I think they can do – I don't think they have to choose which one. I think they can do both. You need Bam as a roller. There's no basketball without pick and roll. If you can't run pick and roll in today's game, you can't win. So, and Bam's a dynamic. He can roll all the way to the basket, and he knows how to short roll. And not all bigs are able to do both. And so I think you have to mix it up, short roll versus, rolling all the way to the basket, using those cross screens to try to create mismatches where he can catch it in his sweet spots in the mid-range and go one-on-one. I think you use a little bit of all of that depending on the matchups that are out there on the court. But, you have to have Bam as a roller, whether it's him and Jimmy pick and roll, Tyler and him pick and roll, Strus and him pick and roll. You got to have Bam active in those pick and rolls because he's the mismatch. He's if a small guy switches off with him, you can shoot the ball. He's going to get the rebound. You can throw it to him in the short roll. If you double team, he can make the right pass out. If you don't double team, he's going to score right over the little guy. And then if they switch and you got a big guy out on Jimmy or on a Hero, they can take advantage of that. And if they miss, Bam is in position to get the rebound. So I think all of those things are going to be a factor in why they beat Atlanta. And I don't think that they should have to choose which one they're going to do. I think they can do them all.
Final one here for Norris Cole. And again, good luck down there in Puerto Rico. You got a couple more games coming up this week?
Yes, we played 3 games this week. We play Tuesday, Thursday, and I think again Saturday.
So you're back on that grind. Well, hopefully for the Miami's sake, they only play in one game this week, Tuesday, and then they're going up to Boston on Saturday, so they have to play that second play-in game. I want to ask you something specific to Spo, because having covered him now all the way since the beginning, but since he became a head coach in 2008, he's always seemed different to me around the playoffs. Just in terms of, well, first thing, he always seems to have something in his back pocket that he kind of pulls out later on. It's some new starter or some new scheme or something like that. But it's also just personality. He goes to, I don't know, it strikes me that sometimes he goes to kind of a dark place during the playoffs for a little bit. Like you can't talk to him as much. How did you experience him? Because now we're in playoff time, obviously, and they're underdogs. Like they're a 7 seed. Like nobody's expecting them to come out of the East. They don't have the pressure that you guys had when you were always going in as a 1 or 2 seed. And if you guys didn't win with the big 3 and the so-called little 12, then that was was a huge disappointment. Nobody's expecting this team to get past Boston in the next round if they beat Atlanta. How did you experience being around Eric during the playoffs? Did you feel that he was as approachable? Did you feel that he acted differently? Like, what was he like?
Well, the playoffs is win or go home. So he's more intense, which everyone is during this time of year. And Spo's a champion. He's a high-level competitor. And so any time it's win or go home, there's a more fierceness about it. There's a more sense of urgency. There's a higher intensity level. And that's what time of year it is. It's high intensity time. And that's the mode that Spo goes to. That's the mode everyone should be in. I know when we were there, our whole team was in that mode. And so, Spo doesn't look at it as, we don't expect to win. Spo thinks that his team is going to win. Pat and them expect to win. The outside world, we don't expect them to maybe go to the finals, do all that. But everyone inside that locker room, they fully believe in themselves. And so, as they should. And Spo is no different. Spo, he's focused and he's locked in, making sure, setting the tone for his team. Like, hey, It's win or go home, and that's the attitude you have to have as a competitor.
All right, last thing. One name other than Jimmy Butler, who to you has the most to prove on this Heat team during the playoffs?
It's hard to choose one. I would say Bam and Tyler.
Mm-hmm.
Because Bam is trying to solidify himself as one of the top bigs in the game. You know, you always hear about Joker, you hear about Joel Embiid, you hear about Carl Anthony Davis. And then sometime, you know, in Miami, we talk about him. But around the league, you don't hear as much talk about Bam. I believe this postseason he could kind of solidify himself as one of those elite, you know, top bigs, not just on defense, but overall, you know, even as an offensive player, because we all know he's a great defender. But as the overall one of the top bigs, I think he has a lot that he can prove. And then obviously Tyler Hero, you know, he has to prove that he can be efficient and take that next step as a big time level player. You know, he got the contract. You know, now it's time for him to go out there and show that he's that caliber of player.
And that he can be the third guy on a championship type team, which is where
that's
they're
a
trying
big
to.
When you can prove that, that's a big that goes a long way when you can prove to be that type of player on a winning championship caliber team.
And if you don't, there's a whole offseason where we know how that goes.
So, yes. I'm only going to speak on the positive side, but yeah, we both know the other side of it.
We all know the other side. Well, thanks to Alex. Thanks to Norris. Thanks to our sponsors, Better Edge and Prize Picks. Norris will be with us throughout the playoffs. Good luck in Puerto Rico. Keep sharing the Instagram videos. We appreciate it, and we'll pass on the message to UD for you for sure.
Absolutely. Appreciate that.
All right. Check out Energy Cubes and the other one, the drink.
Results Energy Drink. Check us out on Instagram.
All right. Results Energy Drink on Instagram. More episodes coming up prior to the play-in game. We'll do playback during the play-in game. And then, of course, we'll have 5 on the floor after the play-in game. Have a good day, everybody.